Thanks so much for joining me for another tutorial. I'm Erin Eno, and today we are going to be painting these two simple Mother's Day cards. If you do like this video, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, and to see more beginner-friendly tutorials like this one, please be sure to subscribe if you haven't already. Let's get painting. Okay, so today I am painting on a sheet of my Artisto watercolor paper. It is not a cotton paper, but it is 140 pound. I have my Royal Talens paints, Van Gogh paints in my palette, jar of water, and a paper towel. And I think I will only be using 3 brushes today. I have a Curry's size 10 round in their 2500 series. I have a size 6 round in their 2400 series, and I have a size 2 round in a Princeton Snap. So I'm going to start with the card on the left and my size 10 round, and I just want to do a light wash for the background to start, and I'm going to use Viridian. I may put in a little bit of something else, I don't know. I think I will. I think I will put in just a touch of Prussian blue, just a little bit. And I want a pretty heavy mixture, but to start we're just going to be using a wash of this color, very light wash, okay? But I don't want to dilute all that down. I want a heavily pigmented mixture as well. But to start, I'm going to take most of the water off my brush, and I have marked out 2 5x7 areas, and I'm going to trim these down and put them onto pre-cut cards. And I have drawn lines here where I want my copy to go on that one, and for this one I'm going to put my copy here, but I want to mask it out, so I've just got a sheet, no, I've got a strip of washi tape there for that one. Okay, so for this one, and you can paint outside the lines here obviously because we're going to trim these down. So I'm just going to start with a light wash, and I think that's kind of too bright. I'm going to add a little bit of Payne's Gray in there. I don't want it such like a bright, vivid color. So just a little bit of that Payne's Gray. Okay, so just a wash. Don't want it too dark. And I'm not going to fill the whole sheet. I just want to do kind of an angle from here down to this corner. But it's going to be darker in the left corner and then kind of fading out towards the top. And I want to kind of a bit of a dry brush stroke towards the top where it fades out. Okay, so I want it a little wet, and it's going to dry a little lighter. So I'm going to dry off my brush and just kind of drag this out with a dry brush stroke. Okay, no pigment on my brush, just kind of roughing up that edge a bit. Just like that, and that should dry lighter. If you think it's a little too heavy, you can just go in and kind of blot some up with your paper towel. Just like that. Because I think this might be a little heavy. I'm just going to kind of drag some of that paint off of there. So I'm dragging it down into that corner. And this is going to curl a bit, but we can flatten it later. It'll get flattened actually when you glue it to your card. And I just want a little bit of variation in there, so I'm just going to take a little bit of neutral tint, just the tiniest amount. And I'm just going to brush some of that in on the angle of our paint there. Okay, just like that. Just add a little bit of texture and interest to that background. And we're going to let that dry. And we're going to go on to this card here. And for this one, I'm going to take a mixture of indigo, which is quite dark, and a little bit of Prussian blue in there as well. Okay, and I think maybe I will switch to my size 6 brush, and we're just going to do blobs, just blobby flowers. So we'll just do one up here like so, and I'm just going to kind of spread this out and blob it up a bit so you get different tonal values of that blue. Just like that. We'll do another one over here. Maybe make this one a little wider. Maybe what I'll do is start with some heavy mixture. Whoops, I hope my cord wasn't in the way there. And I'm just going to rinse my brush off and just go in and kind of let those edges bleed out, like so. Do that over here as well. And I'm going to rinse and dry off my brush and go in with heavy pigment and just kind of tap that around. Like so. So you just get some nice variations of that blue. Okay, and these are looking a little flat. I'm just going to pick up some of this blue here because I want some real definition between the mid-tone of that blue and the dark tone. So now I'm going to go in with some straight pigment and just plunk that in. You can always go in and add more later if you want as well. And I will hit that just with some water to let this bleed out a bit. Okay. Then we're going to do that again, and I'm going to do 5 flowers. So I'll put another one over here. Again, they're just blobs. Make this one a little bigger. Clean off your brush. Let it bleed out like so. Just like that. There's 3. We'll put one, this washi tape isn't very good. It always kind of curls up on me, but we're not going over it with a real heavy wash or anything, so it should be just fine. Okay, so I'll put that heavy blue down. Rinse my brush off. Hit the edges so it just kind of bleeds out. I'm just doing this so you get different kind of tonal values of that blue. Okay. And you can play around with that as well. Like you can dry off your brush. Pick some more up here. Because as it bleeds out, it kind of will lose that definition, and you'll get these light areas, so you can just go back in and put some more pigment in, but you don't have to fuss. These are just blobby flowers. And we'll do another one down here, and that'll be it. Again, rinsing my brush off, and I'm just dragging it on the edge of my jar just so it's got water on it but not drowning, and that'll just bleed those blues out. Then I'm going to go back in while it's still wet, tap a few more areas of just heavy pigment in these flowers. Are they flowers? They will be. I know they just look like blobs right now. I'm going to bleed this one right out. Okay, now while they're wet, I'm going to take a mixture of sap green. Actually, you know what? I'm just going to do sap green. I want them kind of nice and bright. And I'm going to tap this in near the bottom. And you can come up to the flower bit because I really want this green to kind of go into those flowers, because I want to see a fair amount of green in here, because it's the green beside the blue that really kind of shows a lot of interest in here. I just find those colors go nicely together. And this should continue to bleed out. You can even take some of it up into the flower if you want. Just like that. See how nice the green and the blue go together? And we've got just one last flower down here. Okay, and that green will continue to bleed. If you're finding it's bleeding too much, you can always go in and pick some up, or just tap a little more blue into that green, like so. But don't drown the green completely, because it is the play of the blue against the green that's going to make these flowers have a little bit of character. And you can always go in and just pick up some pigment till you get them kind of looking the way they want. But they will continue to bleed a bit, okay? And don't play with it too much, just let them do what they want to do. And now I'm going to switch to my size 2 brush. And I'm going to go into that sap green, and we're going to paint some stems. Now, just ignore the tape, and you're just going to go right over the tape, okay? So I'm going to go outside the edge of my card, because that's going to be trimmed off. And we're just going to paint a stem up to that sap green. I want it a little heavier than that. But do use a small brush, because you want nice thin stems. I'm just going to turn my sheet. Sometimes I just feel it's easier to get the stems from top to bottom than going from the bottom up. And I've slopped green on my other card. Oh well, that's okay. It'll give it some character, I guess. I don't want this bleeding into that other flower, so you have to be careful there. Okay, 1, 2, 3. Up to this guy. Like so. And one last stem. Up to him. I think I want to see if I can get a little bit more of that gray in here without ruining things. So I'm just going to brush it in and water it down. Just like that. I'm going to go in with my size 6 brush, and I'm going to take that blue that we used for the flowers. We're just going to do a few splatters, not too many. So I'm going to cover this side, make sure that tapes down, and just do a few of the blue splatters. Then I'm going to go into the sap green. And you're going to want to water it down a bit to do the splatters. There we go. Just a few. And if you find they're too dark, you can just go in with a paper towel and just lightly tap. Be careful that you don't mess up your flowers that are there. But sometimes if the pigment's too heavy on the splatters, they just look dark, and we want to make sure they kind of show that green and blue. And I do find, like I said, the green kind of overtaking, so I'm just going to pick some of it up on some of the flowers, not all of them. And just go in with that blue mixture again. Just put a few little hits of that back into these guys. I just want to soften those edges just a titch. And we're going to get blooms on those because I'm going back in with the blue, but that's just going to give them a little more texture and interest. Okay, so that card's done. It's that simple. We'll just wait for it to dry a little bit before I take that tape off. And we're going to go back to this card here. And it has to be dry, so I'm going to hit it with my heat tool just to make sure it's good and dry. Okay, so that's still a little damp, but we're going to use heavy pigment, so it shouldn't bleed. It should be dry enough that it won't bleed. And I'm going to mix up a little bit of heavier pigment of this color. I want it nice and highly pigmented. Okay, and we're just going to paint just really, really simple flowers. Just with some petals. Really simple, okay? Do some so they kind of look like they're on their side a bit. And they're really rough and loose. Okay, so just a few little petals. You can leave some white space in the middle to put some little stamens if you want. This one's a little heavy. Do another one down here. And I want to keep these within this kind of shape as well. So I don't want them coming out too far. Maybe we'll put one up here a bit too. Because why not? And one. Is that enough? I think that's enough. Well, I want one kind of facing down. We'll have this guy facing down, like so. Okay. Then I'm going to go to my size 2 brush. I'm going to take some sap green, and I'm just going to add a little bit of that blue to it to darken it up a bit. Maybe a bit of the olive green just to tone it down a little bit. And then we're going to draw stems down from these guys. I'm just going to turn, actually, you know what? I'm not going to turn my sheet. So just with the tip of your brush, you're going to just draw these stems up. I want this one to look like it's kind of facing down, so I'm going to just do a little curl down. Like so. That one can go up to that guy. These are really simple to do. I want to make sure these are dry, so I'm just going to dry them first. Okay, so these guys are dry, and I'm just going to go in and just put a center in a couple of them, just with some straight black. Okay. Maybe this guy too. And if you want a little more kind of definition in these petals, you can go in and hit some of them with a little bit more of that green. Just be careful you don't hit the black that's wet, or you can wait until it dries, or you can just leave them really simple. I just want a little bit more depth in them, just in some of the little petals. Okay, just like that. Now we're going to do the lettering, and I'm going to paint the lettering in today. If you want to use a marker, by all means. I just want them the same colors as I'm using. That's why I want to do paint instead. And for this guy, I've kind of messed up my color because I hit it with some green, so I'm going to have to mix a little bit more up. And I'm just going to actually move my palette out of the way. And I'm just going to paint in the word mum. Actually, you know what? I think I'm going to just write in the baseline because I can't see really where it went. That looks good. And I'm just going to go with a simple scripted lowercase. Actually, that's no good because I don't want to be right on the line. Let me try this again. And out like that. Okay, really simple. And I'm a little off to the left, so I'll try to move this over to the right as I paint it. I got a little heavy there, but that's okay. And we'll let that dry. and then we'll erase the pencil lines. And then we'll go to this one here. Same thing, really simple. I just have to be careful that I don't run my hand into that one. Actually, you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to cut these apart. Just so I don't stick my hand in that while it's drying. There we go. Much safer. I'll put that one aside. Okay, so in with the green. And I just want to put my mom, my friend. Okay, so I'm going to let you know that I totally botched up this type on this one, so I quickly redid the card. And now I'm going to try this again. And I'm going to take my time. Okay, so now I'm going to erase the pencil lines. I like this lettering much better than the first one. So there you go. That's a little better than the first one. I would have preferred to do it in marker. Obviously, I'm not good at brush lettering, but I just didn't want to do it in black. Anyway, it looks nice and handmade. I'm going to go with that. There is the other one, and there are your two Mother's Day cards. You don't have to limit these to Mother's Day. Obviously, you can do them for any occasion. So I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial and that you found it helpful. And as always, if you're on Instagram and you give these a try, please share your work and tag me so I can have a look. That's it for today. Thanks so much for joining me and supporting my channel. Take care, and I will see you next time.